What is up everybody and welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, I will be going over the top 10 rarest Nissan 350Zs ever produced. Most of the Zs on this list you've probably never seen in person or have even heard about them. I'm excited to be informing you guys all about the cars on this list today and what makes them so extremely valuable. But before we start today's video guys, all I ask is that you give the video a big thumbs up and consider subscribing. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. So coming in at number 10 on the list, it would have to be the Nissan 350Z 35th Anniversary Edition. Nissan designed this car to honor the debut of the original 240Z. This 35th edition 350Z was only offered for 1 year from 2004 to 2005, and Nissan only offered this car in 3 colors. You had a black 35th edition, you had a silver 35th edition, and then you had the more popular yellow color. It's this beautiful, bright, eye-catching yellow. A lot of people are on the fence about it, but I personally love it. So for the USDM market, there were roughly 700 of these made. I'm not sure how many of these were made worldwide, but it's pretty crazy how so many people are unfamiliar with this car and why Nissan made it in the first place. This 35th edition 350Z isn't as rare as any other cars on this list, but it is the second rarest USDM car to be offered by Nissan. So next on the list at the number 9 spot, we have a Nissan Nismo R-Tune. So a couple years after the launch of the standard 350Z, Nismo themselves introduced the R-Tune. The R-Tune 350Z received significant modifications to the engine, such as upgraded cams, pulleys, and headers. So along with those internal upgrades, the R-Tune also offered a full exhaust system specific for that car. Nismo also offered additional aero parts that you could add on to your 350Z, such as front bumpers, side skirts, rear wing. Now, I don't know how many of these were made, but it turns out I read into some articles this was not a production model car, meaning that this car was not offered to the public. So this leads me to believe that Nismo's sole purpose of designing the R-Tune was to advertise all of their aerodynamic parts and all of their performance parts on the 350Z. And the thing that sucked most about adding R-Tune parts on your 350Z, you actually voided your warranty from Nissan. Before Nissan Motorsports created this car in real life, the S-Tune was actually a special edition 350Z in the game we know today as Gran Turismo. That's right, Nissan partnered with Sony PlayStation to design a special edition car for the video game. Shortly after, Nissan Motorsports decided to go ahead and build a demo S-Tune 350Z for the public. This car displayed parts out of their Nismo catalog that they offered customers to purchase. Just like the R-Tune, you can enhance your 350Z's appearance and performance. S-Tune suspension was offered along with an S-Tune catback exhaust system. Nismo interior cosmetic parts were also available, and you can't forget those gorgeous LMGT4s. Finally, the S-Tune parts catalog offered a unique body kit that supplied much needed aerodynamics. I couldn't find how many demo S-Tune 350Zs were produced, but I do know this. Since most of these parts are discontinued, Z cars that have upgraded catalog S-Tune parts should technically be considered rare nowadays. So coming in at the number 7 spot, we have the ultra rare Nissan 350Z Long Nose, aka the Type E. The Type E was so special in particular because Nissan only built 5 copies of these in 2004. The sole purpose of Nissan designing the Type E was to comply with homologations in order to compete in the Super GT racing series, which Nissan later went off and won. It's so cool because a lot of the technology that Nissan developed and put into the race car, it was integrated into the street cars as well. So I don't have too much information on this car, and if you guys know a little bit about this car, definitely let me know. But I'm a big fan of the Long Nose 350Z, and I absolutely love the body kit on it. So next up on the list, at the number 6 spot, we have the 2005 Nismo S-Tune GT. So let me go ahead and explain this car to you guys and read an article so it kind of makes sense why Nissan made this car and the sole purpose of this car. So let's get right into it. So 1 year after the launch of the R-Tune and S-Tune packages that we already went over, Nismo released the Stune GT car. This was done to celebrate the success of the Nismo team in motorsports, particularly the Super GT series. Nismo gave the S-Tune revised long nose bodywork that was similar to the Type E's bodywork. Essentially, the Nismo Stune GT was based off the Type E. So actually, the engine was modified to produce 296 horsepower, and the car had a red line that was increased to 7,200 RPM. Pair that with sportier suspension, Nismo only produced a total of 20 of these cars a month for an entire year in Japan only. So you guys do the math, do the numbers. This car is pretty rare, but as you guys can see in the video, a professional driver got access to this Stune GT on track, and you can just see his facial expressions. He's absolutely loving the car, and I absolutely adore the car as well. Just the way it looks, it'd be a dream to go out to Japan and just see this car on the street. That would be absolutely awesome. And this is personally, I think this has to be my favorite car on the list, the Nismo Stune GT. So at the number 5 spot, we have the Nissan 350Z GTS. Nissan Technical Europe, or NTCE, revealed the 350Z GTS at the Goodwood Festival of Speed in 2006. This car featured a unique radial flow supercharger that could be turned off and on via a switch on the dashboard. How insane is that, guys? So actually, the new supercharger bumped up the power to 382 horsepower and 313 foot-pounds of torque, without any further modifications done to the engine internally. So Nissan also gave the GTS a new body kit that improved cooling, performance, and gave the car more better downforce. The car also received wider 245/265/40 tires. Nissan did grant motor journalists access to test the GTS at the Goodwood Festival, but unfortunately, Nissan never made this car a production model car that was offered to the public. So as sad as that, may seem, this honestly is a pretty sick car. And let me know if you guys know anything else about the GTS, but I love the way this car looks. It just looks so stealthy, and the huge intercooler up front and all the aero, like the wing is super cool. I love this car, guys. And let me know down in the comments if you guys agree and you guys love the GTS 350Z as much as I do. So coming in at number 4 on the list, we have the Fairlady Z Type F. So the Fairlady Z Type F was a version of the Nissan Fairlady Z made exclusively for the Japanese market. The Type F featured gorgeous heated red leather seats, a red leather steering wheel, shift knob, and handbrake. Other trim pieces were also finished in red, and there was an aluminum kicking plate added onto the car as well. And to finish off the Type F's interior, the car came with an awesome Bose audio sound system, and I bet it sounded absolutely amazing, guys. Other features that the Type F included were raised forged aluminum wheels. The car also came with VDC. The car was also paired with a big brake kit. That's honestly all I could find on the Nissan Fairlady Z Type F, guys. Personally, I absolutely love the car. It's kind of like a Grand Tour. It was fully spec'd out, but what separated it from like a USDM 350Z would have to be the interior options. So if you guys know any further information about the car, like how many were made, just leave a comment down below, because just like I'm telling you guys about the car, I'm also learning at the same time, and I've never heard of this car before, which leads me to believe it's extremely rare. So there you guys go, the Type F Nissan Fairlady Z. So number 3 on the list, guys, this would probably be the most well-known Z to ever hit the United States. It would be the 350Z Nismo. So the 350Z Nismo was made from 2007 to 2008, and it featured the same VQ35HR that was in the regular 350Zs of that year. The Nismo actually made the same amount of power, which is kind of funny. But where Nissan lacked power, they made up for it in a lot of other categories. So let's get into what made the Nismo 350Z so special versus the regular 350Z from 2007 to 2008. So the Nismo only came with a 6-speed manual transmission, and it was paired with a VLSD. The Nismo also came with an aerodynamics package based on the Super GT Championship car, which included an aggressive front fascia with chin spoiler, side skirts, an extended rear fascia with an underbody diffuser, and a rear wing. So to complement what I think is a gorgeous kit, The car also featured Nismo-tuned independent multi-link suspension developed by Yamaha. The car also came with Brembo brakes, 4-piston up front, 2-piston in the rear. And to add on top of that, the car also came with these awesome gunmetal gray forged alloy wheels made by Nismo. The car also came with a tuned exhaust, and Yamaha also partnered with Nissan to develop front and rear dampeners for the car to provide extra stability for the chassis, so essentially to make the chassis a lot more stiffer so the car can handle better. So there were only a total of 1,607 units of the Nismo made for the USA, and it's pretty crazy because out of all the 350Zs sold in the United States, the Nismo 350Z only makes up 10%. But yeah, guys, comment down below, what do you think about the 350Z Nismo? Do you think it's overrated, or do you think that it is absolutely an amazing car and it's one of Nissan's like top tier cars that they've ever made? So guys, we are almost done with the list. Coming in at the number 2 spot, this Z has to have the most legendary engine ever put in a Z chassis in existence. This is the Nismo Type 380 RS. So guys, the 380 RS was another Nismo branded car that was released from 2007 to 2008, but unfortunately it was not offered to the USA. Just like all of the other great Z cars, we hardly got any good ones. But yeah, let's get into what made this car so special, and it's insane, guys. So let's get into it. So this car was known as a 380 RS, and it was essentially a road-going version of the 380 RS competition race car. So for homologation purposes, Nissan needed to build road-going cars to enter their car in the race series. So with the road-going car, Nismo gave it a detuned version of the race car's engine, and that is kind of like the key selling point of this car. It had a 3.8 liter V6, guys, get that through your head. This engine was bigger than the 370Z engine. So let's talk power figures. This car made 350 horsepower at 7,200 RPM. It almost made 400 foot-pounds of torque at 4,800 RPM. Other upgrades included Brembo brakes, Brembo discs, Yamaha front and rear dampeners. The car came with the gorgeous forged raised wheels, and they were wrapped in Bridgestone Potenza 245/40 18s up front and 275/35 19s in the rear. So essentially the kit on the car and a lot of the interior was similar to the USA Nismo, but this car was so unique, so special, so sought after because it came with a detuned race car engine, and essentially the engine had beefed up internals. It was 3.8 liter. It almost made 400 foot-pounds of torque, guys. Imagine that. This car would probably be an absolute blast to drive, and this has to be the most legendary engine ever put in a Z car. Period, point blank. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comment section, but I believe this is how, like, they put a race car engine in a Z, guys. It doesn't get any better than that. So coming in at number 10 on the list, guys, I thought I would make this one kind of funny. We have a police version of a Nismo 350Z. That's right, guys. As you can see in the pictures, a police force, I don't know if it's in Japan or China, the police force was called the Tochigi Police Force, and they actually had access to 350Z Nismo cars, and they turned them into patrol cars. So honestly, in my opinion, I think it's absolutely sick. And if you were a Nissan collector, this would definitely be a car you would have to add in the collection. I don't know too much about this car, so if you guys know anything, definitely let me know. But with all that said, guys, that wraps up the 350Z list. I hope you learned a thing or two. I definitely learned so much more about the Z chassis, and maybe I might do a follow-up video with like the rarest 370Zs or the 300ZXs. You guys let me know down below if you want another like follow-up video. But with all that said, guys, be sure to smash the subscribe button. We're almost at 3K. Drop a like and drop a comment down below, guys. So with all that said, I will see you guys in the next video. And until then, peace out, guys.